The Untold Origin of the Fifth Avenue Underground Club. Welcome to the Futurist Mindset Show. My name is Tessa, and I'm here to introduce you to your host, Reagan Rodriguez. Reagan is not your typical entrepreneur. He's helped fund hospitals in Africa, restore water systems in forgotten towns, and reignite energy projects where the lights once went out. He's architected high-stakes deals with private family and foundations most of us never read about in Forbes. He's the strategist family offices whisper about, the name behind the transactions most billionaires never even get invited into. But it wasn't always like that. Reagan had faced millions in debt, been burned by Wall Street's hidden hand, and still found a way to rebuild, not through handouts, but through high-level strategy, relentless faith, and an unshakable belief in purpose over profit. Today, he's the mind behind the Fifth Avenue Underground Club, an exclusive network for those bold enough to rewrite their financial destiny through acquisition, capital strategy, and unapologetic ownership. So open your hearts and your notebooks and welcome my dear friend, Reagan Rodriguez.
Thank you. Thank you, Tessa. What a warm introduction there. So let me tell you guys a story. And it's not the polished version, it's the real one. And it did not start in a boardroom, it started in the mud. The very first fund I ever started wasn't for a flashy tech exit or some venture capital backed unicorn. It was for a sustainable housing project in 2010, after I witnessed the devastation caused in Haiti by a magnitude 7 earthquake. Additionally, I made significant investment, time and money, in 2017 with a catastrophic hurricane, Irma and Maria, that was in Puerto Rico. The second, a water recycling sewage treatment station, pipelines, pumps, and waste treatment. And the third was a waste to biofuel plant in the Republic of the Congo, which then led to a seaweed farm in Zanzibar for a sustainable community-driven venture where locals were getting seaweed in shallow coastal waters for food. So then that led to a smart city in Jamaica that led to a smart city in Mali, Africa. And now we're building a cafe fund for a smart city in Ghana. Why? Because I made a vow early on. I don't just help people build wealth. I help them build meaning. I don't fund dreams. I fund futures. I am fortunate in the fact that I help manage a very private foundation that's made up of 26 Uber stratosphere wealthy trustees. And the mission statement is to fund infrastructure and humanitarian projects that are going to create jobs, not just construction jobs, but sustainable jobs. We do not do debt. I don't like debt for myself. So why would I want to place my clients with that burden? So instead, we take equity. Our program works for some people and others prefer a debt loan. I don't care either way, guys. Okay? Why? Because number one, we don't solicit or induce clients to work with us. You got to be invited to the dance, if you will. We only partner on an invitation basis. We're that silent partner, but we're also very hands-on. And we take on our fiduciary duty very seriously as we take great responsibility in that role. When I first started with this group, I was quickly introduced to a whole new world. It was called Wall Street Lobster Dinners at 3 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I'm now used to it when I get a text at 1 a.m. and it says, just landed. Do you want to meet up for dinner at the Fontainebleau in 45 minutes? That's why we operate invite only. You don't apply to partner with us, you get inducted. We're silent capital with loud results. We're hands-on, we're high integrity, ultra private. You might call it boutique. I call it intelligent rebellion against the way the system that's rigged. It wasn't long before that these partnerships took me in rooms I had really never expected to be in, whether it was family offices in Nevis Island and St. Kitts to 1 a.m. text messages that say, just landed, meet me at the Fontainebleau in 45. I was baptized into a whole new world, one where access is whispered, it's not advertised. I was then referred by my attorney, who's a very close friend of mine, to this family office out of the south of France. And then they referred me to a technology company. And then their CEO was also out of the south of France, and he had launched a new type of security. And he thought that maybe I might have an interest in working with him on the finance side of things. I took a look at this thing, Tessa, and I said to myself, I've never seen anything like this before, right? We looked at the documentation. My attorney went through everything meticulously. And although the documentation wasn't what I wanted it to be, it had everything I had hoped would be there. They then asked me to advise hedge funds, private equity, and sovereign investors on where to deploy it. And then suddenly, I wasn't just solving capital problems, I was architecting solutions for a new financial instrument. I jumped in because they needed me, and something in me needed this evolution. Then the bottom fell out. So let me rewind. Before that, I was drowning in millions of dollars in personal debt from a failed waste-to-energy project in Puerto Rico, a project that I had believed in with all of my heart. The Commonwealth of Puerto Rico even signed a 20-year power purchase agreement for me. And then days after that, it hits the front page that Puerto Rico defaulted in their bonds to the U.S. So that power purchase agreement was not worth the piece of paper it was written in. I had personally guaranteed everything, and it all went sideways. So I made a bold move. I changed a high upside oil field in Oklahoma. For those of you that are good with numbers, it had discounted cash flow at 10%, 400 million at 5%, 700, all inclusive. And we were engaged with a mezzanine lender that at the time they had a loan to own program in their agenda. And in 2016 hit, we had a 15 million credit line, only had 14 million outstanding. And the group that I was working with had just drilled up another successful well. And they not only did not fund that, they took the well. They told me the credit line was gone. So I started looking for ways to raise capital that were outside the box. Because if you recall, during that time, oil and gas could not get any traction at all in the capital markets. And I didn't want to do a bankruptcy. So we fought a rearguard action for 18 months. And it was one of the most challenging 18 months of my life. I finally lost the oil field to them in 2017. And I will say this. Well, during that time, I realized that necessity is the mother of all inventions. And I learned how to avoid working with financial instruments. And I found a way to be the governing partner that sets and makes the rules with my own fund. If necessity is the mother of inventions, then I guess pain is the father of genius. And somewhere in that dark tunnel, I found this switch. I stopped asking for permission. I changed platforms. Funds that don't rely on brokers and bankers dealing with bureaucracies. You don't need a check from someone else for a capital machine. You need a system that writes the checks yourself. So what did I learn? I learned through this process that it is foolish to reach conclusions on insufficient data. If you don't have all the information, then don't form a conclusion. In our industry, in hedge funds, it's not liars you have to watch out for. It's the people that may not be right, but they're always certain about it. Those are the ones you have to pay attention to. They reach conclusions from insufficient data. In other words, they communicate with such certainty as if what they had to say was carved in stone somewhere. And let me tell you what else I learned. The worst addictions aren't drugs, they're belief systems. The addiction to not enough. We've been conditioned to believe our life as it is not enough, that we're not doing enough, making enough, becoming enough. So we grind harder, chase recognition, buy bigger houses, stack meaningful titles. At the root of it all, it's that I'm not enough. The truth is, you're exactly where you need to be. Not, maybe one day, not after funding, not, once after I have it all figured out. No, right now, exactly where you are. Your past is not a life sentence, it is a lever. You may have debt, you may have blown it, you may feel behind. Guess what? So did I. But those who win in this game don't play by the rules of the wounded, they play by the rules of the reborn. The Underground Club is not just a network. We teach you how to buy profitable businesses with zero out of pocket, leverage seller financing, carbon credits, and capital stacks, build funds that don't beg for venture capital crumbs. We print checks, and most of all, we're going to show you how to reinvent yourself in the process. So let me close here with my final thoughts. You are not a victim. You are a vault. You are the sum total of every crisis that you've survived. You're not waiting to be rescued, and you're not waiting to be reconstructed. You don't need more credentials. You need a new lens. And if you're still watching this, it's because something inside of you knows that there's more. And I need a guide that's walked through that fire. That fire was mine. And that is your invitation to step into the Fifth Avenue Underground Club. Not for who you are, but for who you are becoming.
It's so rare to find somebody like you, Reagan, that has that experience and that has that drive for humanitarian impact and knowledge in this area. So I just want to thank you for sharing it. Thank you for creating the Fifth Avenue Underground Club. It's a great opportunity.